Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful day here at Seal Beach. And we're going to sing together. I can't think of a better time to do that than right now. So look in your book and your bulletin, and we're going to sing the song, Use Me, which is beautiful. Use me, Lord, right? So let's stand together and sing this beautiful song together, okay? Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and it's here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun. Well, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth and the stars and all of creation. God is creator, all in all. God needs us to shine its light as you, as me. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and it's here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Yes. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. For God is the source that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new. And God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. One more time. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and it's here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
Hey.
You sound wonderful.
Yes. Good morning. While you're all still standing, I want you to just say hi to your neighbor. Say hi to someone you've never met before. Make someone's day with your love and compassion and smiles. I love you, Tony. Love you, Nancy. Doesn't that feel good? Well, welcome to the Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Nicole. I'm the co-senior minister along with my newly husband, Reverend Michael Heinle. Yay! I'm so lucky. We are a loving spiritual sanctuary. We believe our faith and philosophy and way of life believes that all people at their core are good, that all life at its very essence is good, and that it is up to us. We have the freedom and the will to see it that way. And when we do that, we begin to heal and reveal the magnificence of life. And if you're here for the first time and would like a little bit of information about our community and a little gift, I invite you to just raise your hand. Even those introverts, you can just raise a hand. There you go. And don't worry, we won't bombard you. Thank you for showing up in our community, and I hope you enjoy your gift. We also have a mission statement that we like to say together. It's on the front of your program. And it kind of grounds us in what we're doing here together. It kind of solidifies and affirms what we stand for. And so I invite you to read that with me on the front of your program. We are a loving spiritual sanctuary where everyone is welcome. We celebrate the abundance of life through study, inspiration, gratitude, and service. With open hearts and minds, we participate in self-transformation for a world that works for everyone. Absolutely. So we have an amazing service in store for you this morning. We have Angel Travis back as our guest singer. We have the amazing house musician Bill Wolf. Our beloved practitioner this morning is Sylvia Hungerford. And our inspirational message this morning is spiritual economics, but don't worry, it won't be as boring as it might sound. Anyway, we have a few announcements for you this morning. I'd like to invite up Cheryl Crandall to start.
Good morning, good morning. Okay. Haven't seen you for a while, but I'm here actually not to sing today, but I'm here to ask for a favor and hopefully bless you richly. My daughter is a new nurse at Long Beach Memorial Hospital, and she's looking to rent a room in Seal Beach. So if any of you know of anybody who would like to rent a room to a wonderful girl who's totally a delight to be with, please let me know. I'll be here afterwards, and anyone you know that it might bless, I would just love that little link. Thank you so much.
And Bill Wolf?
Tonight is a special night. Sunday Night Alive is having a groovy happening, right? We're celebrating the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and it's going to be a very special evening. How many of you like the Beatles?
Yay!
I think we're going to be doing a Beatles song. And also Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the song Spinning Wheel. I know I grew up on all this stuff, but I bet you did too. So tonight at 7 o'clock, come and enjoy yourselves. It's going to be a really fun night. Thank you.
Very nice. And one more announcement by Reverend Michael.
Thank you. What a great group today. So every 2 years, Reverend Juanita and I get to exercise our passion, and we get to teach a class on where this philosophy came from. And it's starting this next Saturday morning at 10 to 12:30 for 10 weeks. So if you want to understand what Ralph Waldo Emerson was saying about getting your bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuits, or if you wanted to understand what Emma Curtis Hopkins was telling you when she says, always say, my good is my God, or if you want to understand what Judge Thomas Troward was really talking about when he said you have to take it to the absolute. And we've selected a curriculum that goes into Ernest Holmes, and we study what he was thinking when he was using these three people to put this grand philosophy together. Anyway, it's Saturday morning, starting this next Saturday for 10 weeks at 10 to 12:30, right here in the sanctuary. We'd love to have you.
Thank you. Oh, one more announcement. Lunch with your inner self. We are now once again offering a Wednesday meditation from 12 to 1 p.m. You can just show up, and it is June Freeman who will be facilitating that experience every Wednesday from 12 to 1 p.m. With that, yes?
Are we actually supposed to bring a lunch to that, or is that just going to be
It's like an inner lunch. Maybe eat before or after. This is like a spiritual nourishment. If you want to meditate and eat, I mean, I can't. I don't judge, so. Whatever you got to do. Jace, take care of yourself. So, and now I would like to invite us to enter into a sacred time of just closing our eyes and moving into spiritual practice. And if you feel called to, I invite you to just close your eyes, take a deep breath, relax back into your seat, never taking for granted that this moment of peace and relaxation might be one of only a few that you've had this week. So we take this time as ours. We breathe deep, feel centered in our body, recognizing that this sanctuary is holy because we are in it, because we are the sacred. I invite us to make room within our hearts and our minds and our spirits for Sylvia's words, for Bill's music, and for the spirit that flows through it all.
Make me an instrument, Lord, of thy peace, as I let go, as I release. Make me an instrument, humble and free, as I awaken in this living Christ in me. Make me an instrument, Lord, of thy peace, as I give love, love I receive. Make me an instrument, humble and free, as I awaken in this living Christ in me.
I'll share two quotes on spiritual economics. One from Eric Butterworth, the author of the book Spiritual Economics. The principles and process of true prosperity. I'll repeat that. The principles and process of true prosperity. And from Ernest Holmes, there is a conscious, continuous movement toward me of supply, of money, and of an abundance, of all that I need to express the fullest of happy life and opulent. My first awareness was in the 70s, listening to Terry Cole Whitaker and Robert Schuller on The Hour of Power. They both spoke of abundance. Terry offered a treasure map, now we call it a vision board, where we pasted photos or words of our aspirations. In the middle of the map was a place for money. I put a dollar bill, which was all I could afford not to spend. I also had an abundance back from Daily Word, where I would put in dimes. These dimes multiplied, and so did the dollar bill I put on my treasure map. It grew from $5 to $10, finally to a $100 bill that I did not have to spend. When I got married, for various reasons, we were on welfare and lived in government subsidized housing. One day our rent was raised, so I called a friend of mine who worked for a real estate company and told her, I have to move in 6 weeks or else we have to pay higher rent. So we might as well buy a house. I leave it to you and God. 6 weeks later, we moved into our first home. I knew nothing about science of mind or its principles. A few years later, I went to Reverend Dr. Peggy Bassett's church in Huntington Beach. They had an opulent gala event for their pledge campaign. What struck me is that not the amount you pledge, but that you can multiply it as you pledged. This is what I continue to do. For me, this is my spiritual economics, which has continued to multiply in all forms. As we enter into the silence, affirm with me, I'm abundant and fulfilled, from all God's riches in all ways, from sources known and unknown. I'll repeat that. Let us enter into the silence and affirm with me, I am abundant and fulfilled from all God's riches in all ways, from sources known and unknown. Let's go into the silence. Just repeat this to yourself. As we come out of the silence to this sacred sanctuary, I'm joyfully grateful for each one here as we join in sacred fellowship. I give thanks for the richness of our music by Bill Wolf, Angel Travis, and the sound support of Steve Huber. The refreshments provided by Floran and her kitchen angels, and the wisdom of Reverend Nicole in her message, Spiritual Economics. Please join me in saying, and so it is.
Make me an instrument, Lord of thy peace, as I let go, as I release. Make me an instrument, humble and free, as I awaken in this living Christ in me.
Good morning, everyone. All right, are you ready? Okay, here we go. I tell you what is on my mind. To stop the talking, the wasting of time. The stories brought us here, and we're all right. And we got love enough to take us to flight and change. When it is hard, when you're scared, you push right on through your fears, and you will change. You change, you change. Push right on through what's not the truth. Believe in yourself, and no, 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 you can change, 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 change. You can change, 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 change. You can change, 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 change. 'Cause when you walk asleep, well, anything goes. Yes, it does. You gotta stop the drama, let it all go. You wanna take back your life, you wanna take it back, take it back. Be the love, be the light, be the love, be the light. Let it all go and change. Push right on through what's not the truth. Believe in yourself and know that you can change. You can change. I know you can. You push on through your fears. Jump through the fear, 'cause you can change, 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 change. You can change. Push right on through what's not your truth. Believe in yourself and know that you can change. You can change. Come on, Bill. You can change. I can change. You can change. You can change. You can change. You can change. Push through the fear. Be the love, be the light. You can change. You can change. Push it all through. Push it through. And you can change. You can change. You can change. You can change. Be the love. Be the light. You can change. You can change. Be the love. Be the light. You can change. Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Oh my goodness, we can go home now. That was amazing. Dynamic duo right there. Thank you, Angel. Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Sylvia. That was very beautiful, your inspirational message this morning. And so we will be finishing up our talk series on My Cup Runneth Over. And so all month we've been looking at different ways and aspects that the divine shows up as abundance in life. By its very nature, God is abundant. We can see it just looking out at the trees and the leaves on the trees and the grass and the blades of grass and the birds and the bees and the humans. There is an abundance of all things natural. And so this morning, we'll be wrapping it up with spiritual economics. Hopefully it's not as rough as your economics class in college. But first, I want to share with you this really cute story that I heard. And if you can think of a little girl in your life, maybe she can relate to it. So I heard this story about this little girl who was about 7 or 8. And she went to her mom, and she had this big idea. She says, "Mom, how did humankind come into being? Like, how did it happen?" And her mom goes, "Oh, well, okay. There was God, and God created Adam and Eve, and they had babies, and so on and so forth, and there's humankind." And she's like, "Okay." And then a couple days later, like that just didn't do it for her. So she went to her dad, and she said, "Dad, how did all these people come onto this earth? How did humankind come into being?" And her dad said, "Oh, well, first there were monkeys, and then they evolved and slowly over time, they became human beings. And now the little girl is like totally freaked out. So she runs back to her mom and she's like, Mommy, you said that humankind came into being from God, and Daddy said it was from monkeys. And she goes, what's the truth? And the mom goes, oh, and she starts chuckling a little bit, and she goes, oh, I was talking about our side of the family. He was talking about his side of the family. I thought that was so cute. I could totally see that happening. That was funny. So, okay. So this morning we're talking about spiritual economics. So what is economics? Economics is a system of interaction and exchange. A system of interaction and exchange. And what is spirituality? Spirituality is the sense, the feeling, the knowing, the intuitiveness, the recognition of the sacred within life. That the relationships we have in life, the environments, the experiences are sacred. That there is something deeper than just the superficial going on in this world. That is spirituality. And so spiritual economics is really this idea of the give and take of spirit, the exchange of life force energy with itself by means of circulation and deep wholeness. And so I want to talk about 3 different aspects of spiritual economics. The first is the economics of consciousness. And this is the one we're probably going to spend most of our time on because it's so important. But then we also have the economics of exchange and the economics of practice. Okay? So the economics of consciousness. This is going to relate to something like a savings account. Okay? We don't really make a lot off our savings accounts anymore, do we? But they're also very stable. They're secure. Like we're not in jeopardy of losing our savings account like we would be in other areas of investment. And in the same way, the economics of consciousness is all about creating that solid, sturdy foundation for ourselves. So we have to have something in savings before we can go and invest it, right? Well, we have to have something in our spiritual savings before we can go trying to create the life that we want. Before we want health or wealth or whatever it is, we have to begin to be grounded in who and what we are. And what I've learned is that the most important aspect of this economics of consciousness is developing a relationship with the God of our understanding. Developing a relationship with Spirit, with Source. And this, let me tell you, has been quite difficult for me, and I'll tell you why. I grew up in this faith, in this philosophy. I'm 4th generation, and I would go to, Sunday church, youth program, and I would have my grandmother and my mom always telling me that God is all there is. God is all there is. It's in and through everything. It's part of me. It's everything. And so my little kid mind couldn't imagine how I could ever be in relationship to something that was everything but not a person or thing, right? Can you imagine this? I'm thinking, for me to be in relationship to something, there has to be something here and me here, and we're relating to each other. Well, that just wasn't my idea of God that I grew up with. It wasn't an outside God. It wasn't something separate. So it actually wasn't until like 9 years ago in AA when they told me, during the steps, like you gotta have a relationship with the God of your understanding. And I'm like, oh, really? Because my God isn't like outside, And anyway, it's funny internally. But they're like, no, you got to do this. Like, if you want it, you got to do this. So I'm okay. And then it started, then the light started to come on, that if there was a God that was omniscient and everywhere present, then it's feasible to believe that an aspect or perspective of that God could also be in relationship to me. And so I began to have a love affair with the divine. And so we talk to each other. And I close my eyes and I feel its presence wrapping around me. And it wasn't until I was able to develop this beautiful, deep, soul-enriching experience of being in relationship to life, to source, to the divine, that I started to really heal and feel my wholeness. Because before it was like, yeah, God is all there is, but it's not taking, like, I'm here and I'm going to be in control, and I'm, a little bit of a control freak, and I have to take care of things and manage them on my own. Well, once that shifted to, oh, now I have a partner in life, a partner beyond a material partner, a partner that is always there loving and supporting and caring for me. And it doesn't have to be some man in the sky with a beard. It's just a feeling, a knowing, a life energy that's always there, caring and wrapping its arms around us. And Eric Butterworth, who we heard of a little bit earlier, he was this unity minister. And he was really, unity is kind of like our sister philosophy. And so this man, he was amazing. He wrote this book called Spiritual Economics. And I just want to share with you something that he says. He says, when we establish ourselves in the consciousness of God, the whole universe moves to flow in us with its absolute and abundance of life and substance. This is obviously what Jesus meant when he said, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be yours as well. But seek first that consciousness, that foundation. Seek first truth, and all things will be ours. But he also said, just as you say, I want health or wealth, yet walk around in lack or worry or fear or the disbelief that the possibility of your health exists, you can't say, I want a relationship with the divine and not invest your time and energy into it. If your heart is not in the relationship, it's not going to work, because at its very nature, relationships are heart-centered. We must believe that we are worthy to have a relationship with the God of our understanding. Not of Mari's understanding, not of my mom's understanding, but of your personal understanding. Whatever that word and that feeling and that life force means to you. Developing a personal, intimate relationship with the divine is probably one of the most spiritually sound investments we could ever make in our lives. Ever. Thomas Merton, he was this Catholic Christian monk, right? Do many of you know ever heard of him? Yeah. Okay, so he meets Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Zen Buddhist monk, one time, on one occasion. And he says this about him. He says, Thich Nhat Hanh is more my brother than those closer to me in race or nationality, because he and I are on exactly the same page. And it leaves a person to wonder how you could be on exactly the same page when you theoretically don't even, they argue the existence of God, right? Because a Catholic Christian monk believes in a certain kind of deity or God, and Buddhists don't, believe in God in that same way. And yet, he felt closer to him than anyone else in the world. And it was because when they were together, they recognized within each other that relationship, that both of them had acknowledged the absolute truth in such the same way. And yet, Thomas Merton calls it his beloved. And Thich Nhat Hanh calls it his true self. Whatever perspective we use, or words or terms that we use, what is so important is beyond words. It's the feeling, the knowing that we in fact are not alone. That there is one mind, one heartbeat, one life that is really supporting us and loving us into our greater yet to be. And so that's it with the economics of consciousness. Now let's move on to the economics of exchange. This one's kind of fun because it's more like the stock market, okay? Well, how we hope the stock market works, right? You hope to put a bit into it and see high returns quick and big, right? That's what I like to see. So with the economics of exchange is like this. We put a certain amount of our energy, of our force, of our source out there. And we, in return, receive, some say 3 times as much as we put out. But in any case, it is this idea of the exchange of spirit, the exchanging of energy, giving and taking and circulating through all of us, through all people, through all situations and ideas. And so it's really as simple as this. If you really want a friend, be a friend. If you really want to be understood, be understanding. If you really desire to feel included, include others. It's this idea that there is such a sacredness and powerfulness to a hug, to a, how are you doing this morning? To a kiss on the cheek, to an embrace, to saying, I love you. This energy goes far and beyond what we could ever imagine. And it comes right back to us, not in the same way and not with the same people. Have you ever tried this? Have you ever tried this? Like, okay, this person just drives me totally nuts. I'm going to be so loving to them. I'm going to kill them with kindness, and it's just going to be all good. And you're like trying. You're like, oh, and you just get nothing. It's like a brick wall in return. Yet, some other person just happens to show up in your life who is the most loving, caring, generous person, and you're like, oh, I get it. I might not receive it from the places that I wish I would have or the people I thought I would have, but here it is. The universe is always in circulation, always in exchange with one another. And then the third aspect of this economics is practice. Practice, practice, practice. I can't tell you how many times Michael and I have been out at a restaurant, or even when we go home to Arizona, and my nieces and nephews are all getting to be that age where they're in college and having jobs, and he always tells them, just whatever you do, just start putting 10% away right now. Always put 10% away. I don't care if you make $10 an hour or $100 an hour, just start doing it right now when you're 19 years old, because in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you might not see a big difference. But 40, 50 years down the line, when you look back, you are going to see how well you cared for yourself. You are going to see that the small practice you made every 2 weeks of your life ended up becoming a reservoir of care and support for you for the rest of your life. And in that same way, when we practice our spirituality, when we meditate or pray or use affirmations or whatever it is ours to do as spiritual practice, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, we're like, I don't know, is this working? Is this doing anything? I don't know, am I the only one who's felt that way? Like, what is this anyway, right? 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, like, should I keep doing this? But then a year or 2 years, or maybe a few months for most, hopefully, down the line, we begin to realize that we've been building up this internal muscle, this spiritual muscle. And so then when life happens, like it does, and it tries to smack us on the you-know-what, we find ourselves still standing. we find ourselves still standing. I don't know how many times I've let go of my spiritual practice and I found myself on my knees, wishing life didn't show up like that, or wishing I was strong enough. And yet, when I continue on and never stop practicing, I find that when life happens, I'm still standing. And so these three aspects of our spiritual economics, the consciousness, the relationship, the interaction and exchange, the practice, they all come together to facilitate the investment we're making in our lives, to recognize ourselves as whole, as spiritual, as healthy, as so much more than the world has ever seen us, than we've ever believed in ourselves. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes developing the relationship. And so I invite us to rise up in our minds and in our hearts and our spirits to that feeling tone of the sacred. Because, believe it or not, it is everywhere present. It is right where we are. So I want to invite us to just pray. Sensing and knowing that that inner flame that is within me is that same inner flame which is within everyone else. Then that flame is the divine. It is that source of my life. It is that source that keeps us breathing and thinking and moving towards love, towards peace, towards compassion. And it is that ever-present sacredness that I desire, that I know, that I affirm each and every one of us in this room feels now. We are okay. We are more than okay. We are free and alive in this room, in this place, in this community of love now. And that is enough. And for the gratitude that I feel right now for this spiritual community, and for the words that come through spirit into our ears and out of our hearts and fill us with nourishment, I say thank you, God. And so it is. So it is. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for loving me, and thank you for my gifts, God. Thank you for setting me free, and thank you for the winged ones who are always watching me, and thank you for loving me. 'Cause even when I cannot see, and even when I've fallen on my knees, and when I think that I'm on empty, God says, wake up, angel, I gave you wings and you may fly. Wake up, 'cause I need you, I need you, I need you by my side. If this were your very last human day in your body, wouldn't you love so completely, no matter what it would take? And wouldn't you let go of all of your fears and your hate? And wouldn't you love each other in all of your ways? Oh, and even when you cannot see, even when you're falling on your human knees, when you think your heart's on empty. God says, wake up, angels, I gave you wings that you may fly. Wake up, 'cause I need you, and I never, never, ever left your side. Wake up, I need you to be the light, to be the light. Wake up, my angels, wake up. Even when you're on your knees, and even if you think you can't see, and when you feel like you're on empty, God says, wake up, angels, I gave you your wings that you may fly. Wake up, I love you, and I never, ever, ever left your side. Wake up. Inside of you, I'm loving you, I'm breathing you, I'm being you. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. I'm right here. Feel me loving you, feel me loving you. Just feel me loving you. I'm right here with you. Wake up. I never leave you, I never leave you. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
That was a tearjerker, wasn't it? Sheesh. Wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Oh. Now it's that time of service where we get to participate in another spiritual practice, that of conscious giving. So I invite you to recognize that we have a text-to-tithe option. We have auto-tithing for those who you don't see putting anything in the plates. Also, if you're new here and you just feel like sharing your love and energy, we absolutely accept all of that as well. Just pour it on into the plates. So I invite you to say with me, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous. Thank you, God. Yes.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. We are so blessed, we are so blessed, we are so grateful for all that we have. We are so blessed, we are so blessed, we are so grateful, we are so blessed.
Good morning. I just wanted to let you know that practitioners are here for you. So if you need a prayer today, we'll be on the right side of the room. And if any of the practitioners here today want to stand up and let us know who you are. And if you'd like to fill out a prayer request, they're on the table in the back. And the practitioner core body will pray over your request this week. So now we go into the silence once more to give thanks for the love and the blessings that we have here in our Seal Beach community, and know that this week we go in our prosperity, in our openness to receiving God, to receiving the truth of who we are, and knowing that it unfolds and manifests exactly as it is meant to. And we join together in saying, and so it is.
Let's bring in the kids. Thank you, Gina. It's very good. Love you. High five. Yeah. Oh, very cool. We have stragglers? Huh? Oh, high five?
Yeah, high five.
Yes! Can I hold you? Oh, please!
We were practicing her dance moves out there, so that's why we're a little late. Good morning. So this is our 5th Sunday, and all together, what do we do on the 5th Sunday? Game day. So it wasn't too fun. We played cornhole and badminton, and Wyndham made cupcakes and sandwiches, and the teens did something else upstairs. What was the name of the game? Something you don't know about me? Is that? Something like that. So I just have a couple of announcements just to remind everybody that next Saturday is our painting prep day from 7 a.m. into noon. If anybody, we're still looking for tools like brushes or things to, what is it? Putty holes in the wall, whatever, I don't know. And yeah, spackle, thank you. I knew there was a word for it. And then the following Saturday will actually be, we'll be painting. So if anybody has a contribution or could stop by and help in the morning, that would be awesome. Am I forgetting anything?
The Panera bread. I mean the yogurt land.
The yogurt land. So
Here.
you all have the flyers. I'm sure Nicole probably told you how it works.
No, go ahead.
But so you have a flyer, and we have extra of these because you can give them to anybody that you know. And if you go to Yogurt Land on Seal Beach Boulevard, next Saturday from 11 to 6, anything, we get like 30% of anything that's purchased with the flyer, and that all goes to our teen winter camp. So we're gonna be doing a few of these, and the next one will be Chipotle. I'll let you know about that. So, but yes, please tell everybody, your neighbors, and we have more of these flyers in the back, you can grab them. You have to bring the flyer, yeah. Thank you, I think that's it from us.
Thank you. I invite everyone to stand and take a hand. And repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in all that I do.
Life is in all that I do.
I give thanks for it.
I give thanks for it.
And I accept it.
And I accept it.
Just the way that it is.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is not.
Just the way that it is not.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.